Well, it looks like Kellen Moore might be changing the running back position after all, and the Eagles have signed a linebacker. Vic Fangio is making sure that position is right, and free agency, I feel like is going to be nuts. We have a potential linebacker coming to the Philadelphia Eagles on a big free agent deal, so let's go over it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yeah, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So, no more news on the Philadelphia Eagles as usual. As we're getting through February, once we get to the month of March and getting closer and closer each day to free agency, where the rumors are going to be piling. The Eagles, we haven't even touched our roster yet, who we're releasing, post-June cut, trade, you name it. We're trying to figure it all out. How much money are the Eagles going to have regarding free agency? But I think the number one thing is, well, especially with the offense, that's what we're kind of getting into. And half of this video is with Kellen Moore. And, you look at the running back room right now, and, Boston Scott's a free agent. Rashad Penny's a free agent, barely used him, free agent now. And DeAndre Swift is a free agent. It sounds like he does want to come back. But a dark horse name that could be out there, the Philadelphia Eagles can go after. Kellen Moore might want to go back to his days in Dallas, where they kind of used a power back. Maybe get a back that not only could you could throw to on the flat, but somewhat a little bit balanced. Good pass protection, which we know that DeAndre Swift is not the best at. But do they want the natural pass catcher with all speed in DeAndre Swift, or might they go a different direction here? And I think A.J. Dillon would probably be the perfect fit. Okay, when they get a nice balance at 6 foot, 240 something pounds. I mean, big back, can knock people on their ass, packs a punch from that backfield. I mean, this is a guy with the Packers, 613 yards on the ground and 223 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns for the year, which is a pretty nice, balanced year for A.J. Dillon, and I think would fit really well. I've always wanted to, with this offensive line, because I want to do it with Rashad Penny so much last year for red zone or short yardage in general, where you can tire out defense with a back like this. And I feel like they're going to go back, that Kellen Moore wants to go back to the RPO / Zeke days, where they use the power back, tire out those defenses, and you have to take advantage of this offensive line. I understand the passing game is the number one thing we really have to fix, because obviously things have to change. The play calling has to change, hence why Kellen Moore is in here. But I think the second factor of this whole entire situation is we got to get the run game going, and we need the right back in the building. And as much as I want DeAndre Swift back, I don't know if he will be the main target for the Philadelphia Eagles. Will he be the main target for Kellen Moore? Really, the only weakness to DeAndre Swift is really his pass protection. It's not really that good. We don't really have a good guy. We don't really have a guy that can pick up blitzes really well. And the last person that really did that well was Miles Sanders. But I feel like, yes, it's one of these offensive lines where, you look at the Cowboys, how they use Zeke and how they use, DeMarco Murray. I mean, when you have a good offensive line like this, you got to take advantage of it. Have these guys run north and south, run between the tackles, and just cause havoc and tire out defenses the way you can, which can open up the passing game so well. And I think Kellen Moore is going to really expand on that. I think he wants to get back to that. And I think an A.J. Dillon signing, I think he's only 25 years old, still really young. The Eagles' MO, they don't like signing running backs, but this is a free agent running back. I don't know if this is going to be a one-year deal. Typically, the Eagles like to trade for guys that have one-year deals left. That's Howie's thing. That's just what he likes to do. But this isn't A.J. Dillon on the Packers still with one more year left on his contract. This is a free agent running back that had a pretty productive year, a nice balanced year last year, and could be a potential signing for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like I said, he packs a punch. He brings power. You could put him in the passing game. Is he as athletic as DeAndre Swift? No, but I think this is more of what Kellen Moore wants. I think he wants a more heavy, physical, elusive type back you obviously want to run this guy north and south. There's no doubt about it. And hopefully they will use him that way from what Kellen Moore has done. I think that, like I said, this is going back to the Zeke in the backfield type, with Dallas, using that offensive line, and really just tiring them out like crazy. So I feel like this would be a really good fit. As much as I like Gibson from Washington, I want to bring DeAndre Swift back, and I don't think A.J. Dillon and Gainwell are going to be the only ones that are going to be here. I think this is Gainwell's last year of his deal. I could be wrong, but I think so, and you really have nobody else. I wouldn't waste my time bringing Boston Scott back. I just think at this point, like, they're bringing familiarity back for players that just like to be here, but if they're not going to be used, and obviously, it's just, you got to bring guys that fit the system, that are going to produce and are going to be used. That's the number one thing. I need to see production. I need to see where we run the ball, where it makes sense. Situational football has been one of the biggest weaknesses last year, as well as everything else. So hopefully with a signing like this, I feel really comfortable. And, to give a bigger back some reps, just to throw them into a game in red zone or short yardage where it's almost going to be automatic, where you might not have to run, the brotherly shove all the time. Even though, the Eagles, whether they get rid of it or not, it doesn't sound like they are. But in case even though it's almost a win-win at that point, I think a big change like this is what Kellen Moore wants. Get back to a power back with a little bit of finesse, a little bit of speed, a little bit of elusiveness, and run somebody north and south, man, which would be great, and really just attack with your offense. That's what I really like, and I think that's what Kellen Moore wants. So look out for A.J. Dillon's name. I feel like this is going to be a name we're going to be hearing a lot of within the next, month, month and a half of what's going on. So we'll see. Now we get into the linebacker corps. Obviously it's a disaster. There's nothing there. It's Andrew. It's Ben Van Summeren. It's Nakobe Dean coming off of just got out of the boot a week or two ago. Is now going to go into his off season with the Philadelphia Eagles. Was on IR twice, and there's a liability there because there's already a liability there. He's been here 2 years already. You know what I mean? Like the Super Bowl year, obviously he came in, at the end of games and, showed some flashes, which was great, but just couldn't stay healthy, in the off season, and then went to the regular season, was on IR twice, and, and didn't play well. And I understand, like, I can't go off too much with what these players do because this scheme was just a complete mess and these coordinators had no idea what they were doing. But as one of the biggest free agent potential targets is obviously the name we've been talking about is Andrew Van Ginkel, which was part of the Miami Dolphins last year with Vic Fangio as defensive coordinator. Oh, yeah, I like Andrew Van Ginkel a lot. Every time I turn a Miami Dolphins game on, I always heard this guy's name a million times. Guy's making plays, guy can give pressure, guy plays tough. The only problem that I have with this is that he is a little bit older. He is 29 years old. Okay. Do you want to pay a linebacker that much money at 29? I don't know, but if he was 26, 27, I'd take a chance. The problem is that how much is he going to want at his age? And are the Eagles going to put that much into a 29-year-old? Coming off a really good year. 53 pressures and 6 sacks. The sack numbers aren't too high, which who cares about that? Other players are making plays because of him, but 53 quarterback pressures is an enormous number for a linebacker, and that's a good year. So interesting to see where this goes down the line with Andrew Van Ginkel, but we'll see what happens. Like I said, we've talked about a prove-it deal with Devin White. We've talked about paying Patrick Queen, which I highly doubt that's going to happen because I don't think the Eagles want to get into a bidding war for anybody. They might have to, Willie Gay. There are guys out there. It just depends on who they want to pay. You have Shazier from the Titans. Bobby King coached him. He's the new linebacker coach. So, there's a lot of connections with this team. Vic Fangio, it's this offseason, what Adam Schefter said is Fangio wants to bring in his own players, and that's all I want to hear. He's brought in his own coaches, his own players. Andrew Van Ginkel would fit the mold, but how much is he actually going to command? And coming here would probably be a win-win for Andrew Van Ginkel. I got this big, I played well under this defensive coordinator, and now I could play with him again, play under him again, and go to another team and kind of recreate myself all over again somewhere else and show what I've got. So I mean, I think there are other potential targets out there. This is an obvious one because of the connections with Vic Fangio. So we'll keep an eye on this. I'm just wondering how much he's actually going to get paid, because he's going to be hitting his 30s within another year. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting. Now, going into linebackers in general, and I think this is really interesting because the Eagles just signed Julian Okwara, okay? Now, 9 total sacks in his career, 38 games, a third-round pick in 2020, has shown a lot of flash. He was with the, Detroit Lions, hasn't been consistent, but he has flashed a lot as an outside linebacker, has tremendous athletic ability, and I just like how Vic Fangio is already adding to this position already. And I don't think this is going to be it. Now, these are reserved future contracts, okay? Even guys like, the Eagles signing Terrell Lewis, another guy that's on a reserve contract. This was an outside linebacker, a linebacker for Alabama, okay? A third-round pick. Okay, both these guys are 25, 26 years old. They've shown a lot of flash. Was with the Chicago Bears last year, I think on the practice squad, played a couple games because of injury. And then before that, he had a little stint with the Rams, which he didn't play awful statistically with certain things, but I think it was in 22, 13 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, 3 quarterback hits, 2 pass defended, and 1 pick. He had 332 defensive snaps, 14 special teams plays with Los Angeles. So, they're getting guys that could fit the mold under Vic Fangio to see what they can get out of these guys. And look, I said the more competition they have, the better it's going to be. And I'm hoping the offseason program changes. I'm hoping these practices change in general and are more demanding, so these players just are working a lot harder. All the rumors we heard this past year that the practices were very relaxing, and when Javon Hargrave said all those comments about that, it really made me feel uncomfortable, and obviously it shows. Sidney Brown, I think, I forgot what loss, the last 7 games. Can't remember which game it was, but after one of the games, I know Sidney Brown talked about how our practices really relate to how we play on game day. And that was kind of an eye-opener too. So when you're bringing in outside linebackers or linebackers in general, I think you're just trying to test the waters here of what you have and trying to get as much success out of these guys that have shown a little bit of flash. Julian Okwara has a lot of starting experience and, wouldn't mind to see someone kind of be the underdog in this defense that climbs up the roster a little bit. And they're relatively pretty young, players. So Vic Fangio is working his magic to just bring in more guys on future contracts that are going to be here for training camp and obviously joint practices and preseason, all that stuff. So it's nice that they're bringing in other guys, which is a great thing. And I said linebacker is one of the weakest positions for the Philadelphia Eagles. We've been lacking this position because we've kind of been ignoring it. And when we find players that actually fit the mold, we end up getting rid of them. We don't re-sign linebackers. We don't re-sign running backs. But this is going to change going forward. The philosophy, Howie Roseman, it has got to change. These positions need to get more attention. And apparently, and on top of everything else, when Howie Roseman had his press conference with Nick Sirianni, he mentioned, I don't, everyone says I don't, value linebacker. And, we're going to find out if he does. And Fangio always has to, not even Fangio, but at least like with the coaching staff and how they work things from what they're going to have in camp to what they're going to have, potentially what they're going to have in the regular season. You got to bring in, you don't want to make Nakobe Dean comfortable as much as the Eagles want to use their last few draft picks defensively. The last few years with Jalen Carter and some of these other guys, Jordan Davis, even Nolan Smith going to go hopefully have a big year his second year. They want to put these last few draft picks they want to put a lot of emphasis into wanting to build around those guys. Okay, I know the talent is there. I know they're monsters. I know that there's good things going to happen. But this is why you draft Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. This is why you brought in Nolan Smith, because you want to build around those guys. That's why trades for HaasonReddick don't sound enticing, because if Nolan Smith at least contributed, which isn't his fault, because I thought Sean Desai did a horrible job on game day or giving these guys certain snaps. I mean, it was a fucking disaster. It was a mess at some points, and I think that definitely is changing in the future, and I'm very excited about it, and I hope you guys are too. This is just the early stage. This is just the early process of what can actually happen. We haven't even hit our own roster yet. We haven't made changes yet. We haven't freed up any money yet. And I think I think this is going to be a crazy offseason. I think by when we get to August, we're going to be like, man, we're excited. We're really excited about what could happen here, and I'm hoping the finished product is going to be something we're going to be proud of, when we have the Super Bowl in New Orleans this year, okay? But, but let's not go ahead too far of ourselves. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about the linebacker position. Obviously, the signing, of Julian Okwara, I just want to say his name right, and, Van Ginkel in general being a potential hit for free agency. Would you sign him at 29? Does it make sense? And make sure, you guys check out some of the videos will come out during the week. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel. Do the same old stuff you guys do. Love all you guys. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes, what up? Follow us live. Peace out, guys. Peace.